Coming up on this episode of In Your Mind.
People would ask me things about like my childhood stuff. I never ever brought up anything negative. Like it was
Wow.
just very like, and that's a part of trauma. It's not even like you're lying, but it's like you kind of just shut it out.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of In Your Mind with your host, me, Paul Trudell Payne. Today, I am so happy to get to introduce you to Adita. She is here, and I'm going to actually let her tell us a little bit about what she does because it is really transformational, amazing work. So guys, help me welcome Adita. Adita, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. So tell us, I'm breaking the rules a little bit, but tell us a little bit about like, this is what you do so that we could get a really great understanding because your work is beautiful.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so I have the page Mindful Maloku, and my hope of is that helping parents heal their inner child so that they don't pass it down to their children.
Mm.
So what happens is from 0 to 6 years old, 95% of our subconscious mind is formed, and that's where we spend 95% of our time operating from. And a lot of people don't really know that, so they're acting out on a lot of the programming that they received as children, and then they're like, why won't this cycle break from generations to generations? And the reason is because they never took the time to heal it, and you can reparent yourself. And so I'm just giving people like the knowledge, the tools, the skills in order to be able to do that. A little bit about my background. I came here during the Kosovo-Serbian War, and I came here as a refugee. And so I struggled a lot, like with PTSD, and my parents did as well. And so my childhood, I experienced a lot of trauma. And about 7 years ago, I started my own healing journey, and I really started to see like that you could completely shift your whole mind and change like the quality of your life just by you. Like you can't really wait around for other people to make that for you, or blaming your parents, which obviously I had all of those phases. But then getting to this point, I wanted to just be able to give that freedom to other people. I also have my degree in social work and focused on childhood development. And so I've been able to combine what I know about the actual brain scientifically, my own trauma, and now having a son of my own, just being mindful and being a conscious parent of all of the things that after, like you feel like you get to a good healing place, but then once you have a child, you really start to see like a mirror of yourself, and you see all of the areas that you could work on and be better. And so combining all of those things, I've started Mindful Maloku.
And you guys, you can tell exactly why I wanted her to explain that because she does it
Yeah,
perfectly. I would have
it's a lot.
butchered it. But okay, I have so many questions. I'm holding them because we have to start with the same with everybody. So
Okay.
I love to ask everybody first. Tell us a little bit about you as a little girl.
Me as a little girl.
Yeah,
Okay. So like what age?
anything. You get to start it. You get to pick. Just you as a
um
child.
the first thing I can remember is that when I was like little, I was super outgoing, and I would like make up poems and like stand in front of my whole family, I guess, and just be like start reciting these poems. And my mom said they would like rhyme and everything, but I was only like 4 years old or 5 years old then. And then kind of part of my childhood got a little bit broken up because of the war, and then
Mhm.
coming here as refugee, having to learn a new language and all of that. But it's also been really cool to experience two different worlds.
How old were you when you came here?
I was 5 years old. Yeah,
Okay, 5. Ugh, that's tough. That
yeah,
is like that. I mean, I can't relate. I didn't come from a country with a war,
yeah.
but like my family is Mexican, and
Oh,
so
okay.
a lot of us were here and learned Spanish first. Did you
Yeah.
like? I know for us, like a lot of my family members and even friends, like all had to do English, or what was it? English as a second language.
ESL, yes.
Yeah, CSL, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, what part of the country did you move to the West Coast right away, or is that
So
where you've been?
actually, I live in Denver right
That's
now.
right, Denver. We literally
Denver,
were just
yeah.
saying this, everybody, Colorado,
Yeah,
and I have no
yeah,
idea where my head just
yeah.
went. Yeah.
But I lived in San Diego before, so maybe that's what you're
Okay,
thinking.
okay.
We recently moved back to Denver again. Yeah, we moved right to Colorado, and then I lived in North Carolina for a little bit, and I lived in San
Oh wow.
Diego for a little bit. So
And
I've tried both sides.
you love it there? You love
In
Colorado?
Colorado, yeah, it's so beautiful here, and the mountains are like perfect, and I just really like it here.
And do you remember what it was like in your country? Like, is it similar, different?
The climate is very similar, so I actually try to go back every few years,
Oh, you do? Okay.
especially like growing up, and so now like it's totally safe to go back, and a lot of my family lives there, so I still speak Albanian. I read and write in it, and like so I'm very fluent in it, and very proud of my culture as well. And it's the weather is very similar to here, but it's just like sometimes a little more extreme on both
Okay.
ends.
Got
Yeah.
it. Are you teaching your, is it a son?
Yep.
Are you teaching him the language?
A little bit. It's
Uh-huh.
actually a lot harder, like when you
Oh, yeah.
like, because my husband's from Kansas City.
Okay.
So totally, it's so funny every time I tell people that. So he's like the American, and and then like obviously he doesn't speak Albanian, and even like my whole family's always speaking English because since we've been here for so long, and so yeah, we
Wow.
kind of we're trying, but it's hard.
Yeah. How old is your son?
2.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Man, that's young.
Yes. How about yours? I think I saw
Yeah,
that you.
I have a son. He's 3,
Oh,
and I don't know
awesome.
if it's the same for you, but everybody warned me about 2, and it was like 2 is a breeze. Like,
Yeah, he's been really good.
well, get ready for 3. Get ready for 3, because
Yeah.
that's what it is.
My best friend too was just telling me she's like 2 was fine, and then 3 is just like a 3 major, like you just.
I mean, it is insane because, like, you start questioning, like you said, you see yourself right in your child,
Yeah.
and but 3 is like, I don't, I don't see
I,
that in me. Like, you're a different person.
yeah. Yeah. I've heard that it gets really intense, so we'll see how that
Yeah,
goes.
like, thankfully, like, he's honest, like, he really is just like amazing kid, and we used to get made fun of a lot by our friends when they would come over because I don't know why, but like my mom was pretty strict, like
Mhm.
most, I guess, Mexican moms. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, don't don't do anything. And so we would teach them, like, you're playing with something,
Mhm.
and then before you get something else out, you have to put that away, and then you can get
Yeah.
something else out, which I
Mhm.
think that's a normal thing. Every parent teaches their kids that.
Mhm.
And then we did like the clean, like, don't leave the table without cleaning. And
Mhm.
I'm not joking. It's the thing we used to get made fun of the most about when friends would come over, because he'd like be 2 and like folding his napkin and cleaning. And like, they're like, what did you do to him? He's going to hate
Yeah.
you when you're older.
Yeah,
But
my son puts all his toys away too
yeah,
before in between. It's just it gets like too crazy when you have everything out
right.
at
I
once.
know. Me too. I'm like, no, I rather, he can hate me later and do therapy,
Yeah.
but he's going to keep it clean here right now. Okay. So I'm getting sidetracked because I already am so into this. I really do want to dive into what you do, because I think what you do, that's what I got so excited about. And I think it's
Mhm.
not something that people address too often.
Mhm.
Um, where do you think for you, like, I'm just thinking, so you're here when you're 5, you go to school, adjust. Where did this, or do you know for you, when that idea of like, I'm going to go into social work, right? Because that's what you went into,
Yeah.
social work, and then explore this other side. How did that happen for you?
So it's a very interesting path. So when I started going to college, I went to the University of Denver,
Mhm.
DU, and I was going for mathematics and a minor in gender and women's studies.
All right.
And then I started going to pre-law for my master's. But then I decided that's kind of worth everything. I took my shift because I realized I was trying to go to law school for my parents.
Mm.
to like gain their approval, and because that's kind of like what I had been searching for so long. And so I that's kind of where I started for like a semester, and then I left that and I went to a different school and I started doing social work.
Oh my gosh.
So while I was doing social work was the same time that I started my healing journey. Like I would say, like a couple of years before, I still like I was getting in there and I was starting to question things more. But that is really when I made the shift and I decided. So like when I was younger and all of that, I was completely like unconscious and unaware of any trauma or like any struggles. Even when people would ask me things about like my childhood stuff, I never ever brought up anything negative. Like it was
Wow.
just very like and that's a part of trauma. It's not even like you're lying, but it's like you kind of just shut it out. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
shut, your brain is able to, and it does it to keep you safe. And so I had shut out a lot of things, and just kind of listening to my parents, really living my whole life for how they wanted me to be, who they wanted me to be with, like just because of how my culture is. It was very like super toxic, and just it wasn't really a relationship, it was more just like obedience kind of.
Mm.
And it's very common. So my family is Muslim,
Mm-hmm.
and what happened during that time is I converted religions and I became Christian.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so yeah, that was kind of a big falling out. And so what and then I also decided I wasn't going to do law school. It was like all kind of in the same year.
Yeah.
And because then I finally realized that I'm like, I have control over my life and my mind. And they
Mm.
didn't like that. They were like, wow, like, you're going to bring shame to our family. This is an embarrassment, all of that stuff. And so it's very common in my culture.
Yeah.
So any Albanians who listen to this are shaking their head, but they're like, yeah, that sounds about right. But so then what happened is I actually didn't end up talking to them for like a year and a half to 2 years,
Wow.
and to them or to like really anyone in my family. And so I was alone during that time for like a year and a half. I was all by myself. I wasn't with anybody or anything. And I was just in the studio apartment, and it felt like rock bottom. It was not a
Wow.
very beautiful experience at all
Yeah.
getting here. I was very like super depressed, really sad, like crying, felt so alone. I remember like Thanksgiving just driving around in my car, like everyone was with their families and
Oh
I
my
was just
gosh.
by myself. It was like the sad movie. Like you could, now it's funny looking back, but it wasn't funny
Yeah.
then. And so just having all of that experience, but what I realized is like, hey, the part of like rock bottom in a way that felt like for me, I was like, I can build myself however I want. And I can
Mhm.
really start to question things and realize like, do I want to be this way? Do I want my life to be this way? Where did these thoughts come from? And then I start questioning like, why did my parents teach me that when other people's parents aren't like that? So I
Mm.
started to question everything. And simultaneously, I was also learning about childhood development and trauma, because
Okay.
that's where I was really focused on, was with the kids, and basically 0 to 6 years old specifically. And then I started to learn a lot about myself. And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, this makes so much sense. And then from then on, for like 6 years now, 7 years, I've literally read 2 books a week, like on stuff like this.
Oh my
I
gosh.
read a lot. And so I feel very like, not even through school what I learned, and getting a degree is great, but I feel like I've learned even so much outside of it, and so much through seeing how much I've grown in my own personal experience.
I mean, that's amazing. Amazing. I I always am curious because we've had some stories, not a lot, but some that had this big transformation, like you, in a sense. Like
Hmm.
they had to go through this really unfathomable
Hmm.
rock bottom, right? And I'm always curious because it's where my mind goes. Is you're in this space, and I've been in this space, but you're in this space. It is so, I don't even know the word for it. Like I always describe it as like it felt so heavy when you're that low. It feels
Hmm.
so heavy to like stand up and walk, right?
Yeah.
How did you how did you find a way? Because like I get like, oh, now you realized I can only go up. I'm asking questions. How did you for yourself click to that other side to not just get swallowed, right, in the sad.
Um, it's kind of be a depressing answer, but I want to be truthful.
Yeah.
It's kind of for me was like you're either gonna live or you're gonna die. Like there's
Hmm. Yeah.
no other way. And I like it sounds really depressing to say that that thought went through my head, but it did. That's like I was very really, really sad during that time. But the fact is that yeah, that was the option. So it was like either like I can kind of rebuild my life however I want, or there's no life. Like those are the two options. Like I'm gonna throw it away or I'm not. And I don't want to say like it was all like, then all of a sudden I was like eat, pray, love,
For
like
sure. For sure.
I definitely went and drank out, like
Yeah.
drank, went to the bar, like I had those moments too.
Yeah.
Went out with my friends, things like that. But I think what helped me in those times was my faith in God.
Hmm.
I was very like lucky in that time that I found God, and that's kind of then where like things start to decline. So I would just talk to God all of the time,
Hmm.
and whether you're a Christian or not,
Hmm.
because I don't go to church personally, but I just call God like Jesus personally, but I
Yeah.
just believe in God and I believe in the universe and like all of that good stuff. And so I was just asking him like, God, like please just like show me what to do, like
Hmm.
show me a way, please, like, whatever it is. And then I just started like, I guess I kind of just started begging God. And then I started noticing that when I put like more of my trust in God and the universe, I started to receive different messages. So one of my friends from middle school, his name is Hari, because he'll listen to it. He he was the one during that time when I was all completely alone who then reached out to me, and we went like we hadn't seen each other in so many years, and we
Wow.
went and he started teaching me about spirituality and stuff. And he
Oh
started
my
teaching me
gosh.
about healing and consciousness. And so I would say like literally when I was at my very lowest point, I feel like God sent him and really helped me. So
That's amazing. And I first want to say thank you for being that honest, because I felt the same,
yeah,
like in that lowest point. And I think you're right. Like a lot of people don't, it's not that they don't share it, because I don't want to make anyone feel negative for
yeah,
whatever they went. It's just, it's a hard thing to say, like, I had to sit there and think through that. Right.
yeah,
But I love that you said that, because I think people should hear that. So Hari came like an angel, really, and
yeah.
helped helped you see that during all this time, because this is when you're in university for social work, right? All of this
Hmm.
is going on.
Yep.
When did you meet your husband?
Then I met him almost like the last semester when I was about to graduate.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like a year and a half. We're going through that. I was starting to a little bit talk to my parents and my family again, and then I met my husband during that time.
Wow. Do you think that because you obviously are strong, I mean, you have to be that strong, honestly, to be able to like pull yourself out of that.
Yeah.
Do you think some of that came from your family, like
Oh,
because they're so strong?
I definitely, and that's a big thing that I teach is I have no blame towards my family
Hmm.
at all, or my parents, because
Good.
the whole thing is that all of the things that they were passing to me, their parents passed to them,
Yep.
and in their mind, they were really doing what they felt was best for me. So when
Mm.
they were telling me like about the religion thing or about different things, they really felt like, hey, Adita, like we are worried about you. Like we want what's best. So in their heart and their mind, they're pure. They have a
Hmm.
great, great intentions. It was just that I knew that that wasn't it. And
Yeah.
now my mom and my dad actually learn about consciousness. And my mom is the one who told me to open the page, the Mindful Minority
Really?
page,
Wow.
because she said she wished that she had known all the things that I then taught her when she was raising us.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
full circle. I mean, I did
Yeah.
have to take that break, but now we have an actual authentic relationship where I can
Mm.
talk to her about these things, and they've apologized to me and all of that. We've had where if I had just continued to go along with it, even though it took a year and a half and it was a lot of pain for them and a lot of pain for me, if I didn't set those boundaries and I just kind of continued to go along with it, we wouldn't have ever had an authentic relationship, and they wouldn't have had a chance to learn, evolve, and grow too.
That's amazing. And so now they're part of your life and your
Oh yeah.
son. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, like all of us, and they actually live 10 minutes away from me. And I was just with my family earlier before this, and so just the whole thing, it was just like also like I feel like life makes a lot more sense backwards.
Mm,
And I think like, looking back, it was all like super difficult, but like how it all had to work out because I brought like my sister along with me. She's
mhm.
on a really big consciousness journey as well. My brother, like we all discuss these things now. And I
Wow.
just feel like it wouldn't have been so open. And all the Albanians on my page who follow me, who have found me, are like, do your parents know you have this page? That's like the first question, because it's like so taboo kind of to talk. They're
Mm,
like, do people know, do they know you talk about them? And I tell them like, yeah, I try to be respectful in what I share, but I definitely share because
mhm.
I feel like it's important.
It is. Ugh. So when did your page start?
7 months ago.
And tell everybody, in case they don't know, which is crazy if they don't, how much this page has blown up.
It has about 11,000, almost 11,000
Yeah,
followers.
in
Yeah.
7 months.
Yeah, it's been really crazy because when you guys reached out to me, I think I had like 2,000 maybe.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I
It
feel
was
like I
like,
remember that
or a
too. Yeah,
little under, like it
yeah,
was. um So it's been really crazy. And it's all authentic. I don't have any robots on there.
yes,
Just
yes.
kidding.
It is. It is.
Because I really want it to actually like help people. It's not really for vanity, like metrics sort of thing. And I think people can feel the authenticness, like because I actually like do share myself and
Yeah.
my experience and my story. And I think that a lot of times it's more just science based, but there is like a human aspect to it. And I think kind of like what you're doing, you want people to see like the human behind the experience. I
Hmm.
think that people want to see like how did this girl really get from there to there, because
Yeah.
it's really easy if I'm just studying social work or I'm a psychologist or something and I just read all these books and I'm teaching you that, and that's great, nothing wrong with it. But I think why it took off as quick as it did, and how people connect to it, is because it's just a really like authentic aspect. So
And you are offering what now? Because you have services, and I mean, I've been all over your
mhm.
site, but you tell
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, so I offer one-on-one coaching, and how that started was a few people started reaching out to me. I wasn't planning on making money from this page, like, or doing anything like that. I wanted to be an author, and I was like, I'll just build a little community. I'm gonna share, and then eventually, if they want to learn from my book, they can. But people started asking me if I would do one-on-one coaching with them, and so I was like, no, no. And then my brother created my website. Um, and then I started doing that, and now it's like I have a wait list. And so it's really like people really do need this, and I'm glad. Like I feel like a lot of people stay with it in the dark and just kind of feel like it's just them, or like they just need to feel this way, or like other mothers are doing it perfectly, or other people are
Mm,
doing it perfectly. But my whole thing is like I want you to know that like nobody is
mm-mm,
at all.
nobody.
And we all, I would argue, have some degree of trauma in our life and some things that we can work through. And it's like an endless thing, like it's a whole journey. I'm not like here like, okay, now I'm perfect, I'm completely
Yeah.
enlightened. I'm just saying like what I've learned and what I want to give other people.
And if you can, how is, I guess, what should we expect? What's your approach to sort of handling, right, this trauma and taking us out of it or helping us get through it?
Yeah. So for me, what I first want to help people with is like the awareness of their self.
Mm,
So like if like a lot of it is that they're not even aware that it's trauma. There's a lot of people who are like, well, my childhood wasn't that bad because I didn't get like abused, and I didn't like my parents provided me the house that I needed. But like rejection and trauma and all of those can also happen from parents who are physically there, but they're not emotionally there for you, or mentally, or you don't feel loved. Trauma has a lot of layers to it, and that's what like I
mm,
really hope to uncover. I just want people to become aware and then put in the tools to reprogram. So I want them to be able to be like, okay, here are like steps that I can take in order to start to reprogram this. So when I do like a series like on rejection, I'll do it like a week and I'll share like what it looks like, things that you can do for you, things that you can do for your child. Because my whole thing is I feel like it's gonna be a little intense, but I feel like people can change the world through conscious parenting. I
Yes.
think that is the secret sauce. I really feel it. I think that because like you see the racist stuff going on right now. You see, well, like that's been going on forever, but you know,
Hmm.
especially in this time, and you know, people are sexist and homophobic and all of these things, and all of those things are taught
Yep.
to us. And so I feel like if we really want to help the environment, we want to help all these things, people need to start questioning themselves, and they need to start questioning what they're teaching their kids. And because if you start to heal yourself, you can pass it down to your child. And guess what? That child who feels love, who doesn't have to deal with all this trauma and hate, they are going to be able to pass that love around to other people. And I feel like that is collectively, a lot of people have become a lot more conscious, I would say, in the last decade. And I think that's why we're seeing people who have so much more empathy for themselves, and they're becoming so aware that they're not willing to put up with other people being mistreated either.
Hmm.
And
I
so, yeah, that's the
the
whole thing.
your whole idea of conscious parenting is exactly why I was like, yes, like
Yeah.
this person has to be on the show. Like, um, I did a summit, sort of, right? Like when COVID first broke out, and I was like, uh-oh, everybody's stuck at home.
Mhm.
I thought, what can I do? Like, what can I do to help? I just moved to San Diego, so I knew no one.
Mhm.
And then I just started reaching out, and I ended up calling it a conscious entrepreneur summit. And I
Mhm.
thought, like, I wanted conscious business owners that realize we have to work together collectively to then help these people, right? Like, just all about
Yeah.
that whole circle. It's exactly what you're talking about with conscious parenting. I just had Natalie Susi's a good friend of mine now. She came on to teach about conscious communication, which is,
Mhm.
she teaches it at
Yes.
UCSD. Like, this whole, and I hate saying it because it makes it like belittle it, this trend of like, oh, we're all awakening, we're all conscious.
Mhm.
I think, like, great, honestly, like, great. There's so many trends out there. Let this please be a trend, because so many people
Yes.
need it. Like,
For sure.
your work, I just, it's so, I just love it. I love talking to you about it because I love that you are teaching us not only how to heal ourselves, but making it so that we don't have to have our children be healed because of us.
Yeah, and obviously they are going to have, like, I'm not saying then you're going to have a perfect child. You're going
No,
to
yeah.
pass something down to them.
Hmm.
But all I'm saying is, like, when you feel like you need to yell at your child, like that's the kind of things, like, ask yourself why. Like,
Yeah.
so I parenting is a lot more about the parent than the child. And I
Mm,
think in any relationship that you're in, either a marriage or anything, you always have control over yourself, and you can't really like help how the other person responds. And with a child, the same thing. Like if you're going to yell or you're going to have this terrible reaction, start asking yourself like why. Like because our children trigger us a lot, because it
yes.
triggers our inner child who didn't have
Hmm.
those things. So if you were always yelled at, or you didn't feel really loved, or all of those things, or you weren't allowed to express emotions, and your son keeps crying, there it's going to really trigger you, because you're like, stop crying. And instead, where I wanted to get to the response where you allow yourself to cry and you allow yourself to feel, and so you can tell your child, your son, your daughter, like it's okay to cry. Like, here, let me walk you through these emotions, so that when they're older they can work through the emotion themselves, because there's a lot of emotionally immature adults, and there's a reason
Yeah.
for that.
Yes,
For,
there. um, I have a question before I ask this last one.
okay.
I know you're doing coaching. I know there's a wait list. Are there any, or maybe in the future, I don't know, programs that you sort of are going to set up that are going to be, whether it's automated, like an online class that they can take on their own, or pamphlet books, things that they can read so that they can sort of start applying these practices now?
Yes, so I actually do want, I'm planning to come out with like a course
Yeah.
online, so for people they can, just like on Teachable or something like that, where
Yeah.
you'll go on and it'll be video content from me.
Perfect.
I am also going to be coming out with a journal soon to
Hmm.
help for conscious parenting. And so stay tuned. That
Oh,
will be coming out pretty soon. And so those are kind of the things that I'm working on right now, but I'm sure I will have more ideas later
oh yeah.
down the line. I do want to do books. That is my like goal, is to be an author. And so
I love that.
for
And
sure.
I'm stayed in touch. You have to let me know the minute that journal's out.
Yes, I
Um,
will.
I never even talked about this. I have another blog. It's called the Data Diaries,
Yeah,
and it started when me and my husband adopting. So we just
hmm,
sort of chronicled that journey, and that's
that's
like
awesome.
randomly the one thing I don't ever. I'm horrible, honestly, about updating a blog, so I never do it. And that's the one thing that I will tell you, out of any business I have a few. That's the one thing that will just grow on its own, because
Yeah,
people are so interested in like the parenting and that journey and
yes,
learning from it. Like, so the minute you have that journal, please let me know. Like, I've, especially lately during COVID, have been contacted by a lot of parenting magazines and stuff. And so I'm like guest blogging, and I just think like, I want to get that out for everybody, like literally just to
yes.
make people better, because that kind of work is going to make all of us better.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really helpful because it's something that I've been doing for all these years, and it's something that I've seen like a big impact in myself, and then also my clients. I've been having them do it, so I've been testing it out, and
Oh,
all of
wow.
them are really like seeing a lot of progress as well.
I'm excited. Okay. I'm so happy you were here today. Of course, it's me and I went over. Um, oops, 1 second. So sorry. I just realized my computer almost died on us, and that would have been horrible. um,
Ending.
yeah. Okay. So my final question is, I like a full circle, and you
Hmm,
already showed us one, so I'm showing you another. We
hmm.
started with how you were as a child, and I just want to know, if you could have, little Adita in front of you today, what would you want to tell her?
Oh, I just want to tell her that she's worthy and she is loved and she's perfect just how she is, and she shouldn't ever try to change her authentic self to please anybody.
Mm, that's beautiful. Adita, thank you so much, seriously, for being here today with us. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
thank you for having me. I felt like I was just talking to a friend. I felt like we've known each other forever. So it was really
Good.
great talking to you.
That's how I want it. No, I loved it. I loved it so much. And I just know that people are gonna be all over this. Like your work, I just always find that the people that are doing like such important work, it's super rare that they sometimes realize it, or that they get other people to acknowledge it.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I just want you to know, the work that you are doing, I know, is like beyond important. So thank you for
Thank you
doing that
so
for all of
much.
us. Yeah.
I really
Okay, guys.
appreciate it.
Oh my God. I just remembered. Please, you need to tell us. I know we talked about your
Yeah.
Instagram and your website. How do people get in touch with
Oh, yes. So you can just
you?
go to Mindful Maloku, mindful and then Maloku,
Perfect.
and then the same thing.com if you want to go on my website.
Perfect. And we will link all of that in here so that you guys can stay in touch with her. You guys, thank you. Come back next week. Adita, again, thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.